Forever in the echoes. The day YUMENGLONG's voice faded and time stood still. There are moments in life that silence even the loudest hearts. The day YUMENGLONG's voice faded was one of those moments. A day the world seemed to stop breathing, caught in the fragile balance between disbelief and grief. The actor, the singer, the dreamer who had once filled screens and hearts alike with warmth and tenderness, was suddenly gone, and in his absence, time stood still. When the news broke, it didn't feel real. His name trended across every corner of social media, but each post carried the same undertone: denial. Fans refused to believe that the soft smile that had once lit up their evenings was now only a memory. YUMENGLONG wasn't just another celebrity. He was a reflection of peace and quiet strength in a chaotic world. To many, he represented hope, the kind that hums softly through pain and speaks gently to broken hearts. Those who had followed him since his early days in the industry knew how much soul he poured into every role. Whether he was the calm romantic or the lonely wanderer, there was something in his eyes that told 1,000 stories. Stories that went beyond the screen and into the lives of his audience. His voice wasn't just sound, it was emotion, layered in melody, carrying the quiet ache of sincerity. That's why, when it faded, the world didn't just lose an artist, it lost a feeling. The world that day seemed quieter. Cities were bustling, yet the air felt heavy. People who had never met him found themselves in tears, scrolling through clips of his dramas, listening again to the songs that once healed them. They watched interviews where he laughed, replayed moments where he looked into the camera with that soft, knowing gaze, and all they could whisper was, "Why so soon?" In that silence, memories came rushing back. Scenes from The Moon Brightens for You, moments from All Out of Love, and that unforgettable smile in The Dream of Red Mansions. Every frame, now, felt sacred. Fans revisited those works not just as entertainment, but as a way of holding on to him, keeping him alive in the only way they knew how. It was as if the universe had paused to replay his life, to remind everyone of what he had given before he left. People began writing letters, thousands of them. Some shared their pain online. Others lit candles and placed flowers beneath posters bearing his image. Messages like, "Thank you for teaching me how to love," and "You made my darkest days brighter," flooded every corner of the internet. It was as if his spirit had woven invisible threads through the hearts of millions, connecting them in shared mourning. YUMENGLONG's artistry was never just about perfection, it was about presence. He had a way of being still, yet captivating, silent yet powerful. When he smiled, it was genuine. When he spoke, it was deliberate. And when he sang, it was as if every note carried a heartbeat. His artistry was intimacy personified, the kind that made fans feel like they knew him even without ever meeting him. That's why his passing felt personal. It wasn't just the end of a career. It was the silencing of a voice that had once been a comfort in chaos. Many said it felt like losing a friend, the kind who never judged, who spoke gently to their pain without ever needing to say much. His existence had been like a melody, familiar and soothing, and when it stopped, the silence was deafening. On that fateful day, even the sky seemed dimmer. Videos from fans showed rain falling, as if nature itself mourned with them. His colleagues and fellow actors posted tributes that spoke volumes, stories of kindness, of quiet generosity, of how he would stay late after filming to make sure everyone was doing okay. Xiao Zhan, his close friend, wrote a message that broke hearts across the internet. "You were light in human form. How do we go on without your voice?" The world echoed that question. What made YUMENGLONG special was not only his beauty or his talent, it was the purity of his soul. In an industry often clouded by pretense, he remained authentic. He spoke softly but lived loudly through his art. He taught his fans the beauty of simplicity, the strength of gentleness, and the grace of humility. Even at the height of fame, he never lost sight of who he was. His death became a mirror, reflecting back the fragility of life and the fleeting nature of time. It reminded millions that even stars can burn out too soon, but the warmth they leave behind can last forever. And YUMENGLONG left warmth, an unending glow that will never fade, no matter how many years pass. Across the world, fans organize candlelight vigils, playing his songs in the background. Missing you, if the stars fall, lonely rain, each lyric now a farewell. There was a kind of poetic tragedy in hearing his voice echo one last time through speakers, as if he were still there, whispering his goodbyes through melody. Some said they could almost feel his presence, gentle, reassuring, eternal. Days turned to weeks, yet the pain didn't ease. But something beautiful began to happen. Instead of fading, his memory grew stronger. Artists began dedicating paintings, songs, and poems to him. His name became a symbol of resilience and love. His dramas gained new audiences, not just for entertainment, but for remembrance. People watched not to escape reality, but to feel connected to him once more. There's a line from one of his interviews that resurfaced everywhere. "If one day my voice stops, I hope my silence still brings peace." Those words, once overlooked, now felt prophetic. In his silence, he indeed brought peace, a quiet reminder to cherish, to love, and to live fully while we can. His passing wasn't just the end of a story, it was the beginning of a legacy. The echoes of his laughter, the softness of his gaze, the melodies of his songs, they now live beyond the screen, beyond time itself. For every fan who lights a candle, who presses play on one of his dramas, who hums a line from his songs, YUMENGLONG breathes again. He may be gone, but his essence lingers, like the final note of a song that refuses to fade. Even now, when people mention his name, their voices tremble between pain and gratitude. Pain because he left too soon. Gratitude because he existed at all. That's the kind of love that doesn't die, the kind that becomes eternal. His fans often write, "You are forever in our echoes." And indeed he is. Every whisper, every tear, every sigh of remembrance is another heartbeat added to the memory of who he was. Time did stand still the day YUMENGLONG's voice faded. But within that stillness, the world found a deeper rhythm, one made of love, memory, and unspoken gratitude. The silence he left behind isn't emptiness. It's an echo that continues to remind us of what he stood for: kindness, patience, and the beauty of gentle souls. And so, though he is no longer here to sing, his music lives on. Though he no longer smiles on screen, his light remains. Though his voice has quieted, its echo still travels, through hearts, through time, through love. Because legends don't die. They simply turn into echoes, eternal, beautiful, and forever. YUMENGLONG's story did not end the day he left. It only transformed. And in every tear shed, in every heart that beats with remembrance, he lives again. Forever in the echoes, forever in time, forever loved. The silence that followed YUMENGLONG's death wasn't just an absence of sound. It was the kind of stillness that carries memories, the kind that makes every heartbeat feel heavier. The world kept moving, but something within his fans stopped. It was as if the universe had paused, holding its breath in remembrance of a voice that once made hearts bloom with warmth. In the days that followed, the internet turned into a sea of grief. Every corner of social media glowed with his photos, moments of laughter, behind-the-scenes clips, and concert footage where he stood beneath soft lights, eyes closed, singing as if time didn't exist. Fans from around the world united under one truth. YUMENGLONG was not just loved, he was deeply felt. His presence had a way of reaching through the screen, melting into the hearts of people who needed his light the most. There was one video that went viral during those early days of mourning, a clip from one of his fan meetings. In it, he was sitting on a small stage, wearing a simple white sweater, a microphone in his hand. A fan had nervously asked, "What gives you strength when life gets hard?" And he smiled that calm, knowing smile before replying softly, "People who believe in me, even when I don't believe in myself." That clip became a symbol of who he was: humble, grounded, human. People replayed it endlessly, letting his voice wash over them like a final blessing. His last public appearance became a haunting memory. He had performed under dim lights, his song echoing softly through the hall, the lyrics filled with longing and reflection. Many who were there later said it felt like a farewell wrapped in melody. His eyes had glistened under the stage lights, and though no one knew it then, that performance would become a parting gift, the final moment where his voice met the world in harmony before drifting into eternity. Fans began sharing stories about how he had unknowingly saved them from loneliness, from despair, from giving up. One wrote, "When I was drowning in silence, his voice reminded me I was not alone." Another said, "I never met him, but he made me feel seen." It became clear that YUMENGLONG's impact went far beyond fame. He wasn't just a screen presence, he was a quiet companion in people's personal battles, a reminder that kindness could still exist in a world that often felt cruel. In the wake of his passing, something magical unfolded. Across different countries, people organized tribute gatherings. Parks, rooftops, theaters, everywhere became a place of remembrance. Candles flickered in the night like tiny stars, each representing a heart he had touched. His music played softly in the background, Lonely Rain, Wishing Star, Goodbye My Light. The lyrics felt different now, as if each word carried the weight of a goodbye he never got to say. There was one particularly moving scene in Shanghai. Thousands gathered with white flowers, singing one of his ballads in unison. The wind carried their voices through the night, a collective cry of love and sorrow. Some cried silently, others smiled through tears, whispering, "You're still here." Even strangers comforted one another, proof that his legacy had created a family, bound not by blood, but by emotion. The industry, too, felt his absence deeply. Directors spoke of his quiet dedication, how he'd stay after shoots just to make sure every scene felt genuine. Co-stars recalled his gentleness, how he'd share words of encouragement, how he'd listen more than he'd speak. Xiaozhan, his closest friend, was said to have broken down while recording a tribute video. His voice trembled as he said, "You were my calm in the storm. I wish I had told you how much your light meant." That clip spread like wildfire, touching millions who could relate to the pain of words left unsaid. Months later, his fan pages turned from spaces of mourning into sanctuaries of memory. Instead of endless tears, there were celebrations of who he was. Artists drew portraits, musicians composed songs inspired by him, and writers penned stories that reflected his gentle spirit. One line began trending worldwide, "He may be gone, but he still whispers in the echoes." It became a mantra for healing, a way of saying that love doesn't vanish, it transforms. Even brands and entertainment agencies paid tribute by creating short memorial reels, showing snippets of his most iconic roles. His laughter, his smiles, his shy gestures, all stitched together into a cinematic goodbye. In theaters and homes, fans watched with trembling lips, whispering, "Thank you, YUMENGLONG, for existing." One fan captured the global sentiment best when she wrote, "He was the kind of soul that made you believe in purity again. When the world felt too loud, his silence spoke peace." Those words echoed across countless timelines, shared by people who, though scattered across continents, felt united by the same heartbeat, the memory of him. As time went on, something became beautifully evident. YUMENGLONG hadn't truly left. His influence continued to ripple through the world in unseen ways. New fans discovered him through his old dramas, unaware of his passing, only to later find themselves grieving a man they never knew but instantly loved. That's the magic of someone like him. His art wasn't bound by time. It lived in emotion, in the way it made people feel. Every time his songs played, every time his scenes replayed, the silence he left behind broke just a little. It was as if, for a brief moment, the world could still feel him, his voice brushing softly against the walls of time. His absence had become a melody of its own, one that played quietly in the hearts of those who refused to forget. Even nature seemed to carry traces of him. Fans spoke of hearing his songs randomly in stores, of stars twinkling brighter during tribute nights, of rain falling gently during memorial events, as if the heavens themselves mourned alongside them. There was beauty in the grief, a soft reminder that even loss can carry love's most tender form. And though the world eventually learned to move forward, no one truly moved on. How could they? YUMENGLONG wasn't just an artist, he was an experience, a feeling immortalized in light and sound. He taught people that true connection doesn't require touch. Sometimes it's enough to simply exist with sincerity. Today, his name still trends whenever fans post old clips or share his lyrics. His legacy isn't in numbers or awards, but in the quiet moments when someone says, "I miss him." Because in those moments, he's alive again, in memory and melody, in the soft rhythm of the human heart. YUMENGLONG's story reminds us of something powerful, that even when voices fade, their echoes remain. They linger in the wind, in the music, in every tear shed out of love. His time on earth may have been brief, but his presence transcended it. He became more than a person. He became a symbol of gentle strength, eternal warmth, and the truth that beauty never really dies. It simply changes form. And so, the world moves on, but with him woven forever into its sound. His silence continues to sing, his memory continues to glow, and his soul continues to whisper softly through time. Because some voices never fade. They become echoes forever, beautifully, endlessly alive.